Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She's crafted her political identity around two things. The first is socialism, the second is race. Over and over again, we hear Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez go on about how she's a person of color, a female person of color, a woman of color. Her defense to any criticism is always, I'm under attack because I'm a woman of color. But it's kind of interesting how she plays this whole Latina thing. Of course, the implication being that she represents Latina women of color. But when it really comes down to it, when push comes to shove, we're learning that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez does not represent the Hispanic community, not at all. She's not as popular as you might believe. No, of course not. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez represents white, elitist, big city liberals, which is of course the most beautiful piece of irony now, isn't it? We've been talking about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's disproportionate fame or popularity, how the media and her Twitter account make her seem a whole lot more popular than she really is. Well, now we've got the data to back it up, and it's her popularity liberals within her own identity group. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on here. As we continue to cover these squad grifters, we've got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so as we continue to cover the topic of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez not being as popular as she thinks she is, or as the media might make you believe, we have another example. Take a look at this example right over here from the Gateway Pundit. She's a hypocrite. Mayra Flores responds to new poll showing that she is more popular with Hispanics than AOC.
Dancing off her own constituents at a town hall this week as they voice their concerns about her far-left agenda.
This comes as a new poll shows Republican Congresswoman Mayra Flores has higher net favorability than AOC among Hispanics who know them.
Well, honestly, I find it very disrespectful that she doesn't take the time to hear their concerns. At the end of the day, they are her constituents. They voted for her, and she wouldn't be in that position if it wasn't because of the people. So it's heartbreaking to see how she puts her political party first versus the American people. But it doesn't surprise me, and that is why she has no favorability also among Hispanics, because she doesn't represent us, our conservative values of God, family, and country, and also all about hard work. That is who we are in the Hispanic community, and she doesn't stand for none of that.
Oh, well, would you look at that? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, over 4 years in the middle of the spotlight. I mean, a disproportionate amount of coverage and press on the cover of Vogue and so many other magazines, basically the queen of the Democrat Party, the future of Democrat politics, the political embodiment of Latina politics, is less popular with Latinos in America than Mayra Flores, the winner of an upset victory in a special election in a relatively obscure southern district. Yes, big city Democrat Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is less popular with Hispanics than Mayra Flores. Yet where does the press pay all of their attention? Of course, in the direction of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I mean, think about how twisted that is. These uppity New York City, California liberals who control the media spend so much time focusing on Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez because she's a woman and she's a woman of color. She's a Hispanic woman, giving that community a voice, but clearly that's not the intent here. The intent is to use Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez as a vessel, using race, gender as optics tools to promote their own silly left-wing agenda, rather than actually and accurately representing the political interest of the Latino community. Mayra Flores clearly represents Latinos a whole lot more than Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez ever will, yet Mayra Flores will never get anything even remotely close to the press coverage that AOC does. Fox News and right-wing sources will cover Mayra Flores, but the left-wing media and especially the cultural media sphere will never go close to her. They'll probably write hit pieces on her like they already have, yet they claim to be the side or the party of inclusion. It's not inclusion, it's using race, using gender, using identity to further their political agenda, using diversity as a buzzword rather than actually holding it as a value. It's token diversity, but it's even more sinister than that because it's manipulative. It's taking individuals and using their identity to craft an image and invoke an emotional response rather than actually believing in the raw form of diversity. And that is something that we absolutely know to be correct when it comes to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She didn't just decide to run for office one day. There was a political organization that was looking for a vessel. The group was called Justice Democrats, And they found AOC through an audition process where they then turned her into a political brand, and she's essentially the face, she's a proxy for this Democrat organization.
Back in 2016, we put out a call for nominations. We got over 10,000 nominations. Out of those 10,000 nominations, we found Alexandria.
My brother told me that he had sent my nomination in the summer, but I was like literally working out of a restaurant then, and I was like, there's no way.
I mean, the literal definition of a political puppet. AOC doesn't represent her voters, she doesn't represent her constituents, she doesn't represent the Hispanic community, she represents Justice Democrats. Literally. She's a fraud, she's a grifter in the purest sense. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez represents corporate big city Democrats. She doesn't represent her community or diversity. And if Democrats truly believed in diversity, they would actually give a voice to diverse points of view and thought. Of course they don't. They don't give a voice to black voters who disagree with the defund the police movement. They just use black voices to promote fancy progressive left-wing activism and completely ignore the actual will of the voter. They don't represent Hispanics, who tend to be quite traditional in their belief system, quite religious. They only promote the Latinx far-left activist liberal. What it really is overly educated white liberal women using different identity groups and using different token individuals to promote their own agenda as they claim to be down with the cause and fighting for these groups. They aren't, and you see it in the numbers as I showed you earlier. Mayra Flores is a more popular candidate, a more supported image of the Latina community than Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is. But of course, Mayra Flores doesn't get a voice now, does she? Instead, this is what we're all subjected to.
All right, listen, okay, listen.
It all boils down to the word that I keep using, disproportionate. These left-wing squad activists get a disproportionate amount of media coverage and media love when they clearly don't deserve it. Here's a great example. We're always hearing about Cori Bush and her activism. They're always writing fluff pieces on her. She gets major primetime news coverage, primetime pieces and primetime interviews. But when it really comes down to it, again, Cori Bush is not as popular as the media makes her seem. Radical cop-hating squad member Cori Bush gets $50,000 book advance, then sells less than 1,000 copies. The autobiography, The Forerunner, A Story of Pain and Perseverance in America, sold just 729 copies in its first week, and the second week was even worse, selling only 288 copies. Bush got an advance of at least $50,000 for the book, and she also went on major news outlets, getting major primetime interviews promoting her book. Yet she still couldn't sell 1,000 copies. This isn't diversity, folks. This is the tokenization of identity group. This is the Democrat mainstream media using individuals to pander to different groups to pretend as if they're allies when they don't actually represent you, when they don't actually understand you. It's truly disgraceful, but that's the Democrat grift. What Democrats promote is not real diversity, it's manipulation. The real diversity is on the other side, which says, look, I don't care who you are or what you are, I just want to guarantee freedom and individual liberties and opportunities for all, across the board, streamlined, same. That sounds a whole lot more genuine than the manipulative, frankly racist tactics of the left. But of course, that's just my opinion. That's what I got for you guys on this one. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna get out of here. There's a whole lot of work that needs to be done. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.